I apologize for my voice. I lost it this morning, which has never happened to me. But here we are. The Israelis have assassinated another Palestinian commander. Take a look at this headline. This is from the BBC. In the West Bank, Ibrahim el-Nabulsi was killed. And they've been trying to get this guy for a long time because he's basically been trolling the Israelis. Really trolling them. They had this guy cornered in a firefight multiple times, and he manages to escape. And then he shows up at the funeral of the guys that have been killed the same day. He just shows up there. So the local head of the Palestinian militant group, the Al-Aqsa Martyrs Brigade, has been killed in an Israeli operation in the occupied West Bank. So Ibrahim al-Nabulsi and 2 other people were killed during the raid on a house in the city of Nablus. 40 people were injured. 40 people were injured. Once again, do you see how indiscriminate the Israelis are? They injured 40 people to get one guy, and they killed several others. And of course, from the Israelis, they think, oh, but this is a counterterrorism operation. Look, it's not even your country, first of all. They just go into another country and assassinate people. And then once again, it's like, oh, it's a raid. It's counterterrorism. Israel has accused Nabulsi of leading a cell which carried out a spate of attacks against Israelis in the West Bank. 3 of his associates were killed in a raid in February, but Israeli media reported that Nabulsi escaped. He subsequently evaded further efforts to apprehend. So they used shoulder-launched rockets on the Nablus house in order to get him out. Do you see Nablus and Nabulsi? Basically, in Arabic, when you say E, it means he comes from there. Not just in Arabic, but Nabulsi means he comes from Nablus. Okay, that's what it is. The Israelis said that, Al-Aqsa Martyrs Brigade was cooperating with Palestinian Islamic Jihad and launching a number of attacks targeting Israelis in the West Bank. Look at that, targeting Israelis in the West Bank. Why are there Israelis in the West Bank? They're occupying another country and then wondering why people are not happy. This is another article. This is from the Middle East Eye. You see the difference already in the language? Here they say that he's a militant, right? They call them militants. But here they call them resistance fighters. Ibrahim al-Nabulsi, the man most wanted by Israeli forces in the West Bank, died from gunshot wounds, along with 2 more Palestinians. That's him. This is from just this morning. You can see the clashes. It's been filmed on video. When we say that he was a leading member of Al-Aqsa Martyrs Brigade, keep in mind this is under Fatah, right? So a lot of parties, whether it's Fatah, whether it's Hamas, whether it's Hezbollah, they have a political party and then an armed wing. That's how it works. So that way they command force on the ground, right? But they also succeed in elections, as Hamas did. So Israeli forces attacked Nabulsi several times previously. Most recently, on the 24th of July, when he and a group of fighters were surrounded in a house in the El Yaswina neighborhood in Nablus Old City. He managed to get out alive after heavy fighting, while 2 other fighters, Muhammad Azizi, who's 25, Suleiman Subh, who's 28, they were killed. The first known attempt to apprehend Nabulsi was in February. You're following the timeline. We just talked about something that happened in 24th of July, and now we're going back to February. So there was a deadly ambush in Makhfiya neighborhood, and he was initially thought to be among the 3 people killed that day before he emerged alive at their funeral. What a troll. What a troll. I mean, just to be clear, it's not about trolling the Israelis. Those are his buddies. And the funeral procession is taken seriously. But at the same time, he's just making a mockery of the Israelis. His father said that Ibrahim was hunting them, not the other way around. That's very good. And keep in mind, man, this guy was not even 30. He's just a few years younger than me, right? 2-3 younger than me. All these guys, 25, 28, 26. I'm not saying that just as in, oh, it's a shame that they died so young. Yes, it is a shame. Look how at such a young age, they are already in the thick of it, right? They are taking the Israelis head on. And the other 2 guys that were killed with Ibrahim, you know, they were also considered leaders and also young, you know, very, very young. I think one was 22 and the other one was 19. So hundreds of Palestinian mourners gathered in and outside Nablus hospital ahead of the 3 fighters' funeral procession. Nablus' mother, addressing the crowd of angry supporters, mourned his death with ululations. She says Ibrahim triumphed, and she did she held up her hands and the V for victory sign. Let me just play this quickly.
الفردوس الأعلى يا جماعة يا رب آمين إبراهيم تخوك بالعكس في 100 إبراهيم كل واحد
That's beautiful, right? That's beautiful. She said there's 100 Ibrahims, all of you. You know, this is really amazing. You see the spirit of resistance. This is what happens when you know that this is your land. You never stop fighting for it. You can't. This is a feeling you cannot take away from someone. Kilkon Ibrahim, all of you are Ibrahim. She's saying about her son, right? Who's just been killed, just been martyred. Here's a picture from the funeral procession, carrying his body. I saw a picture, somebody tweeted this, some random person, of his mother, right? His mother at the funeral right now. And she had a gun. She was holding up a rifle. And they're saying, oh, you see, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Basically, some Israeli trying to imply that that Ibrahim was a terrorist, just like his mother was a terrorist, because she's holding up a gun at his funeral. What a clown. She's holding up the gun, not because she's a fighter, but because her son is a fighter. And again, it's about, expressing the spirit of resistance that it carries on, even after death. Kilkun Ibrahim, all of you are Ibrahim. And I think it's very important because while people are sad, they also understand that there's a goal to achieve, that the mission still continues. He was fighting them for several hours before they finally managed to get him. Several hours. And before he finally died. And they're saying here in Middle East Eye that a voice message purportedly recorded by Nablusi minutes before his death was reported widely by local media, in which he urged Palestinians to resist Israel. He said, quote, "I love you, mother. My message to everyone is to protect our homeland. Do not give up your arms. I am barricaded now. I'm going to be martyred." You know, after they killed Ibrahim, look what the Israelis posted. This is from the Prime Minister, the Israeli Prime Minister. Okay? And he's complaining that one of their dogs died during the raid. I'm not even kidding, man. That's the Israeli Prime Minister's account. And he's posting a picture of the poor dog that was killed during the raid. Wow. Yes, and animals are very cute. Dogs are very cute. I don't even know what to say. This is so comical and absurd, right? You know, you got Palestinians mourning their children, their brothers, their friends, and this guy's posting a picture of a dog that was killed in a raid that they conducted. I want to be very clear, man. This word raid, it is a raid, but the Israelis are attacking the Palestinians. It's not the other way around. Palestinians are not going into their homes and killing their dog. Right? So the Israelis have zero casualties, nothing. A dog. Again, the dog is probably very cool. A nice doggo. The disconnect here. Do you see the how different the mentality is? How insulting it is? It's so insulting. this is what happens when, you occupy people and you view them as less than human, right? It's not about one tweet. No. It's the entire occupation. You can't occupy people anyway without having this mentality. Because to do these, commit these acts against other human beings, it's horrible. It means that you by default consider them as less than human. And that is the reality. It's the reality of the Israeli occupation and all occupations. He's basically implying that this dog is more important than the Palestinians they killed. I just wanted to bring you up to date on what happened in the West Bank. Again, this is not in Gaza. This is in the West Bank. And the West Bank is, as you know, under Israeli occupation. And, they constantly go into Jenin, where you have a refugee camp, to conduct raids. Al Jazeera went to report on it, and that's when Shireen was killed. So they're not only going in and killing young Palestinian men, they're also killing reporters, like Shireen Abu Akleh, right? She was there that morning with her colleagues to talk about this, and she died because of it. You see where the West Bank is? This is the West Bank. And Gaza is down here. It's not even in the same place. This is Jenin and this is Nablus. Nablus is where Ibrahim al-Nablusi was killed today. Both in Jenin and in the upper West Bank, where the Israelis have been conducting these raids for months now. For months. And, you always have civilians being killed, civilians being wounded. And the other point that I would stress is that even if they're holding a weapon, like, this is their country, man. The Russians, they go into Ukraine. Everybody's clear on what it means to resist and occupation. And suddenly when it comes to this, by the way, I want to mention something else. I'm kind of going back in time now. When we talk about the partition plan, the United Nations wanted to basically cut Palestine into two parts, with Gaza and the West Bank, and you have a little sort of, I don't know what they were thinking, a tunnel, a highway. It looks so ridiculous. And then they say, why didn't the Palestinians accept this plan where we cut up their country? Gee, I don't know. I wonder why. This was their idea. That, we'll just carve up Palestine into like 3 chunks. And Israeli settlers can have more land than the Palestinians who outnumber them. How insulting. I mean, like, who would accept that? No one in their right mind would accept that, and they shouldn't. But anyway, I just wanted to show you the geography of where these raids are happening, and we'll leave it at that.